Well, hello and welcome back to Driveway. Today we got somewhat of a trailer here. Pretty much we left off about literally only 2 weeks ago, and we went from t-shirt and shorts to this wonderful getup. So, fall and winter is approaching quick, and we've got to finish this thing off so we can call it done and move on to other things and finally get some of these projects taken care of that I've been stashing away for the last year or so. It's kind of been a rough time frame to get projects done because things happen. Anyways, I got this thing painted up and, well, finished welded, then painted up. But let's just take a quick walk around everything. It's kind of like a rough paint job because I still have more things to add to it as I go along, but I don't need it rusting out in the middle of trying to wait outside to do things. So we'll have to get the axles back in and figure out how we're mounting the fenders up, and then once I get the fenders mounted up, I'm going to figure out my stake pockets. So that's kind of another couple weeks down the path, but let's just go up front and look at the stuff that I've been kind of doing off camera here. Alright, so I'll get my pointer stick out here. You can see that I got a tongue box on here. It's just a couple little 3/4 inch square tube that I just welded on the bottom of the C-channel to kind of countersink it in a little bit. And then I'm going to go dual crank jacks. I just kind of like the extra stability. And then, as you can see up here, I have to finish welding on these safety chain pieces. I drilled a hole and ran a grade 8 bolt through it. So we'll have 2 different ways of attachment. And I guess that's pretty much the extent of it. We got our receiver on, bolted down, and doing pretty good. You'll probably barely be able to see it, but over here we've got where the air tank is set. I kind of welded a couple pieces of angle iron so the tank will sit right in there. We'll take a little bit closer look at that, but essentially the goal for today is to get these guys welded in, and then those guys welded in, and then we can throw the axles back under, and maybe we might have enough time to start running some of the airline for the air pump that's in the box. So I'm gonna have to get moving here because this is gonna be a cold and long day, and it's going to be kind of brutal. So, time to grab some gear and get to welding. Alright, so for this section, we've got our 2 jacks welded on, and what I'm planning on doing, as you can tell by the rod right there, is I'm tying 2 sidewinder jacks together so they share one single arm. So I'll have one arm here that I can crank on this side, and it'll lift them both at the exact same rate. So I got this one, got that one pre-drilled so I can put the dowel pin back in it, but now I need to make sure I get the other one marked at that section. So, for lack of a better thing to do, I'm just going to grab a drill bit and kind of just drill it where it sits, just to get it started. That should be enough. Yep. All right, so with that finished off, we can actually attach a drill and raise and lower this thing. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. I'll have to make sure we get everything greased up here. But that section is done. I can go get the caps, cap those off after greasing it up, and we should be good to go. Now, our next step, we're going to need to work on getting the rest of the axles attached. Right now they're just shoved under there. So I gotta grab the radius arms, make sure they're assembled the correct way, and then start jamming them in there. Grab a panhards and throw them in there. Then we should be at least to that point. Then we can get our airbags and get this thing off of these cement blocks. All right, so we got another weekly update. I've been kind of crashing away at this as best as I can with the very cold temperatures that we've been having for a while, and luckily we got a pretty warm day today, so I pretty much try to knock out as much as I can. So we left out a lot of things of what I did, basically just to try to get it all done. Anyways, let's go take a quick look at everything that we got to this point. All right, so as you can see over here, we got the hose ran. It's kind of where I want it to be. It's a little funky and loose up at the front, mainly because I want to leave enough line so if some damage occurs, I can shorten it up and carry on. But anyways, we got the line run. We got these splitters that put two into one. That way front and rear are attached, linked together, because that's what we need this thing to work. So as you can see over on this side, I've got a piece of channel iron sitting over top of our lines, and that's essentially what I'm going to use to kind of secure that. It's very close to the dimension of 2x4 lumber. It's probably a little bit over the 1.5 inches that your standard dimensional lumber is at, but that should work pretty well. We'll get that and probably get a couple pieces of steel to go in between there and the edge of the frame, and then the rest will pretty much just have the 2x4 lumber. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at what we did in the front box here. Alright, so in our front box, you can see we got a full-size battery mounted up. We've got our air compressor hooked up here. I've got an air hose hooked into the whole system as well. So that way if we need to add tire pressure or anything along that lines, we got that. And then in here we got loosely bolted in the pressure gauge set for each side, and then the solenoid for each side. Now these solenoids, they were kind of a pain in the butt, mainly because they were normally closed and we needed something that was normally open for what we're doing. So after a lot of messing around with it, I found out you can just take the silver body here and just flip it, and then it'll become normally closed, or flip it back, normally open. It's like the big point to figure out was that this particular pressure port actually was what fires the cylinder piece to actually make the valve work. So you have to always pressure that. And that was kind of how we came up with that. Anyways, since we got that all nicely hooked up, we can just grab some wire here. And we can turn this thing on for a little bit. Quiets up pretty decent with the lid closed. The front handle likes to shake and rattle, so that could be annoying. It could also wear itself out pretty quick. Basically got ourselves a couple PSI in there. And that of course allows our trailer to come up to ride height. So now we can let all the air pressure out and lower it down a bit. And we are down. And when you let off on the valve, it should come back up. Nice. Alright, so that should pretty much do it for this episode. It's probably going to be a little janky in all the editing, since we're going through quite a few weeks worth of footage. But hey, we got something going here. I suppose next time we'll probably have to look at some of the wiring. I know we got lights to wire, we got our brake system to wire up, and then we got fenders to make for this thing as well. And then once we figure out the fender pieces, we got a few more things to tackle as well. So hopefully it stays a little bit warmer this next week so I can get this stuff done and get all of this junk rearranged so we can actually start working on some serious projects. Anyways, this is probably gonna have to do it for me. Hopefully, we'll get to see you again later.